Hello everyone, and welcome back to a Let's Play of AER Memories of Old with your host Invalid. I've gone ahead and switched over to a controller just so I have a bit more of a fluid movement and just to get an idea for the control scheme and share with you guys how it feels. Using a PS4 controller, by the way, so gonna be a little bit different if you're playing on the Xbox or the Switch versions, but not too dissimilar. Where we last left off, we had opened up a little cave that was locked by the symbols of the moon and the sun. And today, we're going to be diving right into it. As I get used to a controller. I might end up switching back, but we'll see. It's all about what you're used to. Oh my goodness, did you guys hear that? Got a bit of a thunderstorm going on outside. Hopefully it doesn't cut the power. Oh well. I believe I was talking about... What's going on in here? So, out of curiosity... No, we can't transform while we're in caves, so that's something worth noting. Very interesting. So we're in somewhere called the vault. Usually when there's a vault, there is something inside a vault, something of great importance. Looks like we got the sun and moon again. Those look like different phases of the moon. And these look like different times of day. Interesting, okay. So... I guess we have a sort of simple puzzle going on here. Let me pull out the lantern. Let's see what we got here. So do that. Is that right? It's got 3 rings. This has 3 rings. So these are half circles. That's half of a sun, and that's... Huh. Very strange. Okay, anyway, whoopsie, wrong button. Wait, why is that a triangle? That's... very interesting. Oh. Alright. I guess that's done. Simple enough, I suppose. Now, what is going on here? Take a key. Okay. I guess we're taking a forgotten key. Because the developers of this game were forgotten. Okay, never mind. I'll shut up. Speaking of developers, I actually kind of want to talk a little bit about that. The developers of Forgotten Key are no longer with us. They're all still alive. It's just that the company unfortunately closed its doors beginning of last year. And oh! Hi there. I'm gonna hold that thought for now and let's talk to this two-tailed fox.
Hello, little wanderer. You took your time. Were you perhaps led astray, or just followed by the slow one? I think his name is Medvin. Slow as few shifters I have met, but sharp, intelligent. Do you know what it is you found? You hold both light and key, to lead you into twilight. Both dusk and dawn, I believe. Southwest of here there is a temple, the silhouette of the setting sun. You will find more answers there. Go now, bird faster than Medvin. Secrets await you in the deep. Seek counsel from the ones who slumber.
Okay, I find that rather amusing that somebody had talked about Kitsune in my very first Air Memories of Old video. I can't remember your name, unfortunately. I'll stick it up here so you can get some extra recognition. But, yeah, Kitsune is Japanese literally for fox, and they have some special significance in Japanese folklore. Mainly the fact that certain Kitsune will grow to have magical powers and will become very big and magical and grow multiple tails. And yeah, they're interesting creatures, to say the least. Kind of pulling from Japanese folklore there once more. I talked about it a little bit in the last one while I was getting distracted, but this game does pull very heavily from Japanese and Native American folklore. And these birds right here are probably cranes. The one word I couldn't think of. Ooh, and this one's red. That is pretty. You know, I don't actually know if these sound like cranes, though, but they definitely don't sound like ostriches, flamingos, or egrets. So, something to find out, I guess, on the vast database that is the internet, full of truth and lies and everything in between. So the Kitsune, or the big fox, told us to go southwest to a place of dusk, interestingly enough. A place of twilight. With our newfound key. So apparently the key and the lamp makes twilight? Don't know why, but that's what he said, so. And I also want to point out something that the fox said in describing our supposed mentor, that being Medvin. Both in how he describes Medvin and how he describes us. He calls us not by our name, but by a very unique set of adjectives that describe us, and uses that as our name. Calling us, what did he say exactly? Us that is faster than Medvin? Or something like that? I wish I could slow down and actually get inside this damn tower, because there's something quite neat inside of it that I discovered during my explorations. That is something that I've discovered in my interactions with a lot of Native Americans, and also with the naming of many Native Americans, and how they're named and how they describe things, because they don't. I don't want to make a blanket generalization here. If I do have any viewers who are of native blood, you please correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I've noticed in the cultures that I've interacted with that they'll often name people by characteristics that they have, rather than they'll often name people by characteristics that they have. Like us being you who flies faster than Medvin. That's what the fox called us. And I've met several Native Americans who referred to me as a wanderer, or young one, or traveler. Things that weren't my actual name, but that described both me and what I was doing at the time. And I touch a little bit on that in a story that I did a very long time ago. Not that long ago, but a couple years back, one of my art pieces. where I shared a story about a stranger that I came across and spent a full day with, 24 hours worth. So just some interesting things to note about everything that's gone into this game. And how many things here that that may not be significant actually have quite a lot of significance, and I'll touch more on that when we talk more about the developers, but for now let's read. I am Rhea, Yohal's daughter. I sought out his words to make sense of what happened to him during his journeys. My father's burden lay heavy on his shoulders. Even though we found a new home, he was never the same again. There is hope, and more children have been born this spring than the last. We will recover, but I think he worried about things yet to come. I think the sickness of black rocks my father found scared him more than anything else. It's only been seen once or twice again, however. These islands we now wander are safe. Kara is soon having a child of her own, and laughter has returned to our hearts. Alright, that's another exposition dump. So, what's the woman's name again? Rhea, Yohal's daughter. We've heard reference to Yohal before, I believe. And Kara's having children of her own, has a child of her own, potentially maybe more after the scripture was written. And there's a black rock? Whoops. That they talk about, which is intriguing in of itself. Is this like charcoal, or does this have some other significance that was drawn upon in mythology and other things? Because, I mean, normally black is denoted as being dark or dangerous, but I mean, like black cats versus white cats and all that other stuff. But anyway, what was I talking about? I've been doing so much reading over the past few days before recording this. I'm just like, I have an entire notepad open of just various tidbits of information that I've gathered from my searches on the internet and books that I've read. And just, it's a little overwhelming, to be honest. I've always respected Let's Players who have been able to bring elements of history and cultural inspirations and developer notes into their Let's Plays in such a seamless manner. Because quite frankly, it's not easy. Not for someone who hasn't been doing it for several years now. Not for someone who isn't a journalist and isn't used to combining points in such a way that others might. You know, I'm all about the mysterious and delving deeply into things over time. I'm not someone that just randomly throws things together that actually makes sense, you know? I heard the elders of the land's breaking apart. Apparently it's been happening everywhere. Stop saying such things are scaring me. Huh. So that's a memory of during the divide. Whoops. Interesting. Okay, so then the question becomes, do we head north or do we head southwest like the fox recommended? And this actually takes us to Twilight Lake. This is a place that we discovered in the last episode purely by accident. But there's something about Twilight here that the fox mentioned. We got more memories. This is the self-proclaimed god. So once again, who is this self-proclaimed god? Huh. And we have another little wall illustration here. That's the key. We saw this in the last episode, but that's the key that we picked up. Whoops, hold on. So where might we use this key? Oh, look at that, we got a desert biome. And more shadows? Hold on. Whee! It is incredibly hard to control your fall, which kind of makes sense, but also really annoying as far as gameplay goes in this flight simulator, which has a completely different context from walking simulator, but... The river it has fallen, what of the spirit fish? Is she safe? Interesting. I guess I'm going to be talking about Mythos this episode rather than the developers, because I'm seeing so much of this writing, so much of these memories that talk about different aspects of self-proclaimed gods and keys and the great creator and all this stuff that dreamed up gods in the world, which is a massive callback not only to Native American folklore but also to one specific book that the director of Forgotten Keys and now The Outskirts, the much smaller gaming company that is just overseeing the distribution of this game now rather than working on any major projects like Forgotten Key did. Robert Hjelta. Hjelta? I know he's Swedish, so it's probably closer to Hjelta, but I'm not up to snuff on my Swedish pronunciations. But he mentioned one of the major books that inspired him was one of the early works of somebody way back in the latter 19th century? Yeah, 19th century and 20th century, Lord Dunsany. Specifically, his book, The Gods of Pagana, who was one of the first people to write more fictional books that focused on creating entire worlds purely for recreational purposes. And apparently, I haven't confirmed this myself yet, but apparently his works inspired other incredible writers. Maybe not incredible, but well-renowned writers like R.R. Tolkien and H.P. Lovecraft, writers who were around at the beginning of the 20th century and the mid-20th century, who went on to write their own amazing epic worlds full of rich lore and creation, with all different themes, but intended ultimately for recreation, if not for more thought-provoking purposes. But the Gods of Pagana has this character, Mana Yudsushai. I'll put the spelling up here on the screen so you all can read it. Who created gods and then fell asleep to the drumming of a character called Skarl. And the gods created worlds, and when Skarl finished drumming, Mana would wake and would make all the gods and the worlds they had created disappear. And we have a creator story much like that in this one. And in that book, there's a lot of references to... There's a lot of stories about different gods and small gods and beings that control different aspects of the world. Anyway, let's continue reading. I am Yohal of the Southern Isles. This is the Yohal we read about earlier. This is my third and final record of my travels in the land of gods. I happened upon the fox just as I was about to leave for home. Same fox that we ran into? He sat in the middle of the road and seemed to laugh silently, as if to some hidden joke. I spoke in anger. My people are dying. Why is this happening? His smile seemed sad. The darkness within called to the darkness without. Heal your people to be healed. This is not your path, Yohal. I did not know what to say and stared after him as he left. Later I realized he was right. It was not my path, but one for my whole people. As I passed the Twilight Lake, I met with Kara for the first time. She showed me the Eventide Sanctuary and asked me to gather everyone I knew. This is the refuge we had hoped for. I will journey home again, and I will guide my people here. I will see my only child Rhea again, and I will bring her hope. So that's the third of the pages he has written. He sounds much more hopeful in that than he did in his daughter's writing. I've already forgotten her name. That feels bad. Where he's talking about having hope for his people again. And knowing that to help others heal is to help himself heal as well. But what the fox said is also interesting. The fact that there is a darkness without calling to the darkness with. It's a very interesting jumble of words there, and there's some vagueness to it that could potentially have meaning, but we don't have context for everything yet, so very interesting. Oops. And I imagine the river fish has some serious significance as well, perhaps in Japanese or in Japanese mythology, and of course Native American mythology as well. So we have a bunch of people here. Is this one of the shrines, by chance? Open temple? What? That's a difference. We have a lot of people in this one, in this memory. Huh. Well, I guess we'll open the temple and see what happens. Okay. An entire temple is just underneath this island. Alright. This geographically doesn't quite make sense. We're getting some of this impossible geometry going on here. One of Lovecraft's favorite pieces. Describing without actually describing. Seems to be something pretty common in older works. I mean, look at this. Look how deep it goes. Whoops. I guess we're going in. I didn't mean to, but whatever. Oh my. This... Oh my goodness. The soundscapes. We made it. Were these all people trying to get into the temple for safety? Or is this just more of a... No. This was a sanctuary. Also, I completely missed what the title was because I wasn't paying attention at all. Alright, well let me backtrack a little bit and then find out what it was, so you guys get to see the title twice and I get to actually read it for once. Because I was completely lost in thought. Whee! Oh, this is Eventide Sanctuary. Okay. So this is Eventide Sanctuary, the place that Yohal mentioned. Huh. Listen to that music, man. Very simple synths, but it's so peaceful. I don't know why, but it's suddenly reminding me of a video by Jacob Geller. I don't know how many of you watch your video game reviews, but he made a video several months back about why do horror games sound so beautiful. And the very simple synths are reminding me of some of the words that he used. And of the pieces that he decided to include in that video. So we have images of people climbing. Now what is... Huh. There's some sort of button or rune there. And I imagine... Yeah, we still can't transform because we're inside right now. Whoa! Camera bug there. And we have this massive stone pillar that seems to have cracked. But is floating for some reason? Okay. Oh, camera's a little iffy in this place. I guess those memories are more to show an intended path more than anything. Huh. This is really interesting. This is a shelter. I mean, yeah, it's Eventide Sanctuary, but this is like... This is almost like a Garden of Eden, a paradise amidst what would have been utter chaos when the Great Divide happened. The Twilight Guardian opened her eyes at the light of sun and moon, shining together. She sat down and calmly took both in her sky hands, bringing balance to light and shadow. With her right hand, she releases the sun to let people back from the dream. With her left, she flings the moon into the night sky so that people may dream at all. She is the heartbeat of the seasons, at the center of the world, the breath of life and order. That's very Gods of Pagana. That's also something I want to point out about Gods of Pagana as well, is it talks more in a collection of short stories, which is much of what Lord Dunsany's works early on were. It was just short stories, and eventually he'd get enough and he'd bunch them up together in a book and release them as a collection. I wasn't expecting interactive ferns that were 12 times my size. Goddamn. A lot has changed in this place. I mean, doors have collapsed. We have... I still can't get over the fact that that pillar is literally floating there. Like, what is going on in this place? And there's something more here as well. Oh, and there's that... Oh, that was subtle. Tone suddenly got just a little bit darker. And what is going on here? Oh, now that's trippy. It's almost like a spider. With the sun and the moon and then the banner right there, blocking some of it. Huh. Now, what are these bubbles about? That's interesting. There is much to be seen and explored here yet. We're not able to get there at this point. Well, I know we're at a half hour, but I kind of want to keep going. Well, you know what I am going to do, actually, is I'm just going to call it here, since it has been a half hour, and we'll continue directly in the next episode. So, until then, thank you guys so much for watching and listening to my rambles about different factoids regarding this game and inspirations with it. And I will see you in the next one. Hope you all are doing well and staying safe, and take care. Bye for now.